So, IE Singapore, they do a lot of events. So, how many? They actually run and support 350 plus events a year. So they organize about 100 or so, 250, and the rest are actually, they support events that other organizers do. Surprisingly, or not surprising, they have 50 plus users worldwide, meaning they've got event managers in other countries, in other overseas centers as well. And each event that they run consists about 30 to 400 packs, right? So we came on board to be the centralized event management platform. Basically, all their events can then be run through GEVME. And also, on top of that, they wanted to find out about best practices that we provide, that we can do. So in terms of event management, what can they do better? How can they improve? So the journey that we took, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with IT projects, but we took a 5-step project approach. So it's not, say, today I use GEVME, tomorrow I start using. It was actually quite an intensive project approach that we had to go through with them. We actually did user research for a event management platform. We actually spoke to all the event managers, okay, not all, quite a few event managers. We find out what they did, what they do every day, how the things been done. Finance managers, we find out about, in terms of event finances, because they run paid events, what do they do when the money comes in? How do they manage the finances? Marketing managers, how do they brand everything properly? Consistent branding. Check this out, even customer service managers, we spoke to them. Because a lot of them, they got phone calls. So they said, how do customer service manage these phone calls, these inquiries? Last but not least, IT security. In government, this is very important. So we actually spoke to the IT security team, made sure that everything was secure based on government standards and so on. So as a whole, we actually found out what are the users' experiences, how do they run events, what are the pain points they had. I'd like to share with you some. Long and complex process to create events. Most of you that have used any online tool to create events, registrations, might have come across some that are very confusing, very long process to create events. Trying to get a very nice landing page out, microsite landing page, tedious as well. You can't just copy from Word-based because everything goes haywire, colors go off, tables go off alignment. Surprisingly, only captured successful registrations. So basically, anything that failed, anybody that couldn't pay online, these people were missing. They didn't capture at all. Then what happened? A lot of things were done offline. So they had a nice online registration, but registrations offline were also quite a few of them. And event managers had their own Excel spreadsheets. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced that. You have your own spreadsheet, another event manager has their spreadsheet. Who has the master spreadsheet? Who has all the contacts? Nobody knows. So what happens? Yeah, everybody then gets confused. Which numbers is correct? Where's all the correct numbers? Where are all my attendees from last year's events? They start calling all the event managers, get all these numbers there. So following the requirements analysis, right, we then did a gap analysis. How many of you heard of gap analysis? No? Yes? So basically what it means is all the requirements you have, we list down in something like Excel spreadsheet, then we check which ones actually can be met by GEVME. Oh, alignment off. So quite a number of requirements could be met straight off. Some, of course, were not required anymore because of a new platform, new process, things were online, they didn't have to do it. And there are some which we actually had to customize for them based on their requirements. There are some special needs for that. All in all, right, about 80% of the things that they require were part of GEVME. And so that means only less than 20% were customized required. So customizations that they needed and so on. Once that's done, we actually did a business process design. So what is business process design? When you create an event, how do you go through the whole flow of creating an event? What do you do? What do you need people to do? What do you need other users to do for you? So we went through creating of free events, paid events. We went through the whole process with each of them. Down to attendee management. When you get a registration online, what do you do next? Sorry. When it's a check payment, how do you get finance to process it? How do you get finance to update the check has been cleared? Manual registrations, free events. So we did a whole business process design for them. Once that's done, we then go through an implementation phase. So that's where we actually did the hard work. I'll group it up into 3 different groups. Process optimization, how do we make sure their processes were more efficient? Centralized control, more for an organization level, how do you make sure everything is centralized? And lastly, integrations. So process optimization. The next few screens are going to be a lot of screenshots, so very nice to see. So simplifying the event creation process. We wanted it to be very simple for them to create new events, make sure everything was the same. So we customized and pre-configured forms. As you can see, the forms were all pre-configured. They just click, everything is done. All the standard fields that every event should ask. So you don't have events that say, today I asked mobile number, tomorrow I forgot to ask the mobile number, or I forgot to ask his job title, and so on. Everything was standardized. Templates for email reminders, payment reminders, all that were also pre-configured, as well as finance details. So they used ENET, so everything was pre-configured with the online payment configurations as well. So where should I send the checks to? Where should I make bank transfers to as well? And we then streamlined the workflow. So just an example of what they had to go through to create an event, right? The event manager will first create an event. Once they're done with all the configurations, they then choose the event approvers or the finance managers to add the relevant details. This gets sent an email to the relevant people, who then go back into the email and click the link there. You can see the big yellow button, which brings them to GEVME itself with a list of tasks that they have to do. So some of them had to input finance data, like IO number or tax codes and all that. They'll do the necessary things, and once they are done, once the event approvers have checked the content, they then can send a publish email. So that once everything is published, they get an email, and then the event manager, without having to go back to GEVME, will know that, okay, my event's already, it's now published and live. So that's a streamlined workflow for just one event that they had to go through. Another thing we did was internal events. So a lot of times people think of events as seminars, external events and everything. But what about internal? You run your own workshops, you run your own D&Ds, you run your own trainings internally, HR training sessions and all that. They actually started using GEVME as well because they think, this is a registration platform, why can't I use it internally? So what they did was, we had this feature where you could turn things private. So basically, the platform wasn't, the event page wasn't shown online. They had a calendar, right? You have a list of event listing calendar. The event didn't show up there. And for example, if the link gets shared accidentally to external users, right? They'll then meet with a private page. This event is private, you need a passcode to enter. So this allowed them to run registrations for internal events like their D&Ds and also. Another thing was attendee email management. I think this is a top question that a lot of event managers face. The number one question, I didn't receive my ticket, I didn't receive my confirmation email. So what we actually allowed them to do, resend confirmation emails automatically within the system. You just have to look for the attendee's name, click resend, and then the event ticket gets sent out. And we actually track whether he opened it or not. So we know when he calls again, I still didn't receive, so I saw you open it actually. Payment, a lot of times you get registrations but didn't manage to pay. We can, instead of having to re-register, you can actually send them an email with a link. Sorry, it's blank now, it's blurred out, but a link directing them to the page itself. Where they click, they just have to continue with the payment, so they don't have to re-register. I think a lot of you got this email this morning as well, reminder. So a reminder email with a QR code within there. So you just have to bring the email, or you can show it from your phone and then we can check you in immediately. So then once you've got the users there, on-site, how do we manage on-site? For them, it was a big A3 size attendance spreadsheet with boxes next to the name. So people had to sign when they come. And then once they sign, the event manager will then go back to the platform, their old platform, and then re-check in everybody to make sure who came and who didn't come. So we introduced to them a desktop solution where this is like a module where you launch on your desktop. So anywhere with internet connection, they could just launch this program within their browser, and they can start checking in people. So there's no more need for signing, no more need for automatic manually compiling and then putting it back to the platform. A lot of you saw this today. the tablet mode, so you can scan the QR codes. So this actually allowed and optimized the process for them for on-site. So they didn't have to do so much manual work beforehand. So everything was online. So lastly, I mentioned there's now 50 plus users, right? With that number of users, there's bound to be a lot of people coming and going. So what actually happened was we can't train or constantly train each and every new user. So for that, right, once you start, if everybody signs up for a free trial, now you'll see this page as well. A quick start guide. So the moment you sign up, you get a quick start guide. So for new users, they get a quick start guide. It explains to them every single major module, like how do you create a form, how do you create a page, and so on. And then they start seeing a very intuitive user interface that you can see like that. So right off, you'll be able to easily set up your next event without going through any training at all. But a lot of times you get faced with questions, how do I actually do that? How do I do this? There's actually a chat where we actually provide them, they actually can go online, chat with the customer service there, and get recommendations on how to do certain features that they want, how to do certain processes for the registration. So those were things that we actually allowed them to optimize. Now the next thing is centralized control. This is more for an organization level. How do I make sure things are centralized? Branding, very important for corporate organizations, enterprises. We made sure that the standardized color schemes, you can see this is the IE's branding. They have all the banner that they use throughout all the event pages. It's all templated already. Even the embed calendar that we did for their corporate website had the same branding as well. And for larger events, this is one of their flagship events. They run about 300 to 400 packs, right? They customize the banner with the same amount of branding, but it still looks consistent with their website, with their corporate colors. Another thing was event attendee data. So this was very important for marketers. How do I know who came for event A last year? I want to invite them again. So with that, right, they started to have a consolidated database of events attendees. So this is their contacts that they have. Every event that they run, registrations get stored in the contacts. As time goes by, you can start seeing things like, okay, again it's blurred, but you can start seeing things like this person came for 2 events already. So you can start cross-selling to these people. Who do I want to go to? This is new event, I want to invite this person again. And they also, on the contact level, you can see what emails you have been sending to this person. In this case, it's me, so they've actually sent me some emails about registrations or reminders and so on. So on an event level, you can see what emails I'm actually getting. So this allowed email marketing people to cross-sell and target better. Company level reports. So organizations, you want to know what participants, what attendees are coming, especially for finance. As a finance person, my organization is running 30 events a year or 40 events a year. How do I make sure the finances are all in order? We actually consolidated all the payments into a single report so that in one glance they can see, oh, this is payment from event A, payment from event B. They can easily consolidate all this online. Orders listing. More for security, you have a user listing and user login attempts as well. So we actually kept track of who tried to log in but couldn't log in, attempts and all that. Accessibility, right? They also wanted to make sure that not everybody could do everything. That way then things will go quite crazy. So we created different roles for them. Event managers, event approvers, finance manager, even a finance officer that only could see a list of all the finances that's been collected. They can't see attendee details, they can't see anything else. And then of course, administrators. So how this works is that within the platform, we have the roles, but it allows you to set to a granular level. So today they can say, I want these roles to have access to all my reports, but tomorrow I want to remove it, they just have to go back in there and just uncheck the box. So it allows them to customize the roles on the go as well. Lastly, integrations. So I'm not sure how much of you run a lot of integrations, but eNets, they use eNet. So something interesting, they use eNets so to collect Visa and MasterCard credit card payments. But that's just the first part. The next part is actually a settlement list. How many of you know what a settlement list? Yes? No? Settlement list is basically a report basically saying, I've collected the money from the credit card. From the first confirmation, you only get a confirmation that it's paid. But from the settlement list, Ines already said, I collected the money. The money is now in your bank. So this settlement list, we actually integrated with it so that, let me show you how it works. So GEVME actually gets a settlement list from Ines once a day. We, based on the registrations we get, we churn out a report and we actually push it to IE's finance system that automatically then creates receipts for them. So they don't have to go in and start manually creating all these receipts. All these are automatically done already. Displaying of events in your corporate portal, in their corporate portal in this case. So we did two things for them. We have a corporate portal. Because events were being created on GEVME, right? How do I get the events back onto my corporate website where more traffic are there? So we embedded a calendar, something like YouTube, where you just paste a code there, and then the calendar shows up already. But on top of that, right, they actually have events showing up on the home page, on the country page, and even upcoming events where you have search events. So how do we do that? Was actually through RSS, where they consume our RSS feed with data that they configure within GEVME. So all the filtered, like this event belongs under Thailand, this event belongs under a certain industry, all this is actually pre-configured within GEVME, and we just push it to the corporate portal. So the event marketers didn't have to do two things. One, update GEVME, then update the corporate portal again. The last thing we did was actually supported events. So supported events basically are events that IE supports. They partner with, I don't know how many, about 70, I think, external organizations. So these organizations actually create events within IE. They have this legacy system in there, which pushes about 200 events a year to us. So we populate our list. They can do many changes to it, manual changes and so on. And we then publish it on the corporate portal again. So the corporate portal then gets all these 350 plus events a year. So that's the summary of what we actually did for them. So what's the outcome? Real-time reports. In this case, everything was online. You can see where the numbers are for each event. The event marketers would then be able to cross-sell. Or if I see, oh, these events numbers are not so good, let me do an EDM plus for that. Consolidated finances, very useful for your finance people. They'll be very happy with you with that. They won't have to chase you every day, where this money come from, bank transfers and so on. They can see it all from there. Internal events could then do registrations as well, so this was quite useful for them. Very important for organizations with a lot of event managers coming and going. Easy onboarding for new users as well. Again, centralizing all the data for them. And most important, increased efficiency. They actually had a reduction in the amount of things they have to do for creating events. So this increased quite a bit of things that they could do other than managing attendees, trying to put their into Excel files and so on. So what were the things that we learned from this project? Some of the experiences we got was, for them, right, they had a lot of stakeholders. As you can see, 50 plus event managers, finances and all that. So just to give you an idea, we actually spent a month talking to people. A good month talking to people, getting to understand what they did, how do they do it, why are they doing it that way? Because you need to understand their business process. The next thing was project sponsors. Because we were proposing to them a new way of working, a new process, we had to get the project sponsors on board. If not, it's going to be, I tell this department something, I tell the department something, they don't agree, then we are in the middle. So we got everybody into a room, we told them the new process, they collectively agreed that this is the way to go. Lastly, we actually did a soft launch for them. So what this means is, instead of going full-blown, tomorrow I launch GEVME as a whole, we actually did a month trial, or not say trial, a soft launch, for a few events to run through GEVME. The main stakeholders get to use the platform, the finances, so they got acquainted to the platform before they actually had to do a full-blown launch for them. Yeah, so that's what we actually did for IE. Thank you.